If you've been following us here on Test Drive, you'll know that we have been very excited to see what Genesis has to offer. They've been rolling out their vehicles slowly, updating them with care and precision to make sure that they roll out this new vehicle brand without any misses. Their first SUV is this 2021 Genesis GV80 2.5 Turbo Advanced. This is the mid-trim sold here in Canada with the 2.5-liter inline 4-cylinder engine producing 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Later this year, we will be featuring the 3.5-liter engine at the top-end trim, but this comes very well equipped, considering it's not really expensive. Yes, it's a luxury vehicle, but if you compare it to something like the BMW X5, Mercedes GLE, or even as close as that I think this competes with, something like the Lincoln Aviator, it comes out really well. Now, Genesis says that the V in the GV80 stands for the versatility that this vehicle offers customers. Their cars are now the G numbers, and these are the GV for SUVs, so it makes sense. It's simple. The bigger the number, the bigger the vehicle. Now, we talked about Genesis's design language when we featured the G90 a little while ago. They want to be known for their two lines, the twin lines that make up the LED daytime running lights, the turn signals, as well as on the rear end, you have this continuous line that runs essentially all the way around the car. And I like the way it's set up. The headlights are really crisp, blend in very well, but then the turn signals, instead of being integrated into the mirrors, are along the fenders. And it's almost like they've peeled away the metalwork of the car to reveal the turn signals as it blends into the rest of the vehicle. And then again, out back, they all line up with the red turn signals on the back built into the brake light area. I think it looks really good. I know some people say that the grille is way too big, and my only thing is, not a complaint, but when they start to electrify these vehicles, because that is the future, there's no doubt about it, Genesis will have to electrify their lineup, this might look kind of weird. So it'll be interesting to see how they incorporate this grille into the electric future, because they want to be known to have this big flashy front end and have these design traits. And it definitely works on a vehicle like this, but I'm just curious to see how it will work in the future. Now, we have full LED exterior lighting all the way around, including a panoramic sunroof, full suite of safety tech that you would expect to have, including highway driving assist 2, high beam assist, rear cross traffic alert, forward collision alert, collision avoidance assist, smart cruise control with machine learning, the remote starter with keyless entry, and a self-leveling rear suspension. As I mentioned, our advanced trim is kind of in the middle, so that adds 20-inch alloy rims, a color head-up display, the surround vision 360-degree cameras, the blind view monitor, ventilated front seats, and the fully automatic rear climate control. So you have tri-zone climate with this. Overall, though, I like the look. I think that this has a great design to it. You have a sloping back end, looks like a fastback, kind of coupe style look to it without actually losing out on rear trunk space, because the trunk is pretty good on this. And if you were to go up to the 3.5-liter engine, you do get a third row on this. This is only a 5-passenger vehicle, which works great for me. So you have some flexibility depending on what you want out of it. And I have to say, even though this is the mid-trim, you get pretty much everything you need out of a luxury vehicle at this price point. I'm not missing anything when it comes to the inside. Once you go up in trims, then you get rear seat amenities and features, and then things that really put this over the top. But for the price, this is great. Genesis didn't stop there, though. The interior is fantastic. We have heated front and rear seats, a heated steering wheel, a 14.5-inch infotainment system with navigation, wireless phone charging, a 12-speaker premium audio system, and an 8-inch cluster screen. Now, this is the largest infotainment system that Hyundai is using on a vehicle, which is why they're putting it on the Genesis and not their core brands. And one of the complaints that we had about some earlier Genesis models was the infotainment felt too much like Hyundai's, which there's nothing wrong with it. It is one of the best infotainment systems we've used, but when you're spending $70,000, you want it to feel a little bit more premium, and this absolutely does. There are a lot of UI elements on this system that you don't get with their core vehicles. You only get it with the Genesis, so it makes you feel like you're spending money without actually having to spend a whole lot more. Now, we'll talk about more on what you get with the 3.5-liter twin turbo when we do have that vehicle later this year. But I just want to say that everything about the inside here at this price point works really well. It's comfortable, it's elegant, you've got a lot of luxury touches, everything is soft touch, and it really makes you wonder, do you really need to spend more to get that top end? The great thing is, you go with the top end, it's not a whole lot more than the way that this one's configured. So that's what Genesis is doing. Not only are they offering fantastic vehicles, a unique buying and ownership experience, but they're also giving you a lot of the stuff that the other luxury manufacturers make you pay an arm and a leg for. So you're getting quite a bit of car for not too much. And that's going to continue to be the theme as we feature more vehicles from Genesis. As I continue to drive them, I can see the serious benefits of driving this over some of the other luxury vehicles out there. And why I say they compete most with Lincoln compared to all the other luxury brands. You know, BMW, Mercedes, they're going for either ultra sport or ultra luxury. You've got Lincoln that's going for ultra comfort, and I can see that's what Genesis is doing as well. This doesn't have a sporty chassis or a sporty feel, despite the fact that it is built on a rear-wheel drive platform. The goal of this is to be comfortable and quiet on the road, and it absolutely does that. But I want to take it on the road now. Let's see what this has to offer and everything else you need to know if you're in the market for the 2021 Genesis GV80. By now, I think you know that we do the fuel economy numbers first here on Test Drive. So how did the 2021 Genesis GV80 2.5 do? Well, it completed our test loop in 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, how does that compare to pretty much the only other mid-size luxury SUV we've driven with a 4-cylinder? That would have been the Mercedes GLE 350 4MATIC. That completed it in 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers. So just a little bit better for the Mercedes, but they're pretty close. So if you're really looking at a vehicle for fuel efficiency, this one should be plenty good for you. So I'm pretty impressed with it. It does work pretty well. Plus, we got quite a bit more power than we did on the Mercedes at 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. That's really good out of a 2.5 liter turbo engine. So I'm quite happy with it. I've had absolutely no issues getting up to speed, passing slower traffic. It's very good. Now, I say in the walk around that I really do think this compares with something like the Lincoln Aviator. Sure, it competes with any other midsize SUV in the luxury segment. But when I'm looking at the way they're made, what they're catering towards, who's going to be kind of buying it, I think that the Aviator is going to be the one that most people are going to be cross-shopping. Not necessarily because of price, not because of where they're made, just the experience that you get. And with this Genesis, this trim is more for the comfort, the relaxation, the nice features and amenities without having to spend too much. $70,000 Canadian, very affordable. And I have to say, I mean, like, it really does nail it when it comes to a luxury SUV. I mean, everything is soft touch. You've got nice materials throughout. The layout is really good. I like the little touchscreen computer for the HVAC controls, allowing you to control the rear seats without having to mess around with too many buttons. So there's a lot of thought that went into this car. Plus, it's super quiet in here. It's hard to know on the video since you're listening to a recording, but I have to say that it is really quiet on the Genesis GV80. So I'm really impressed with it. I don't have much to complain about, but I do have a couple of small things. Basically, two small things that, yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it'd be nice if they improved it. The touch controller for the infotainment system. It's recessed completely flat pretty much with the center console. It's just a little tough for me to use. It's like a rotary knob. Think old school iPod, original iPod with the click wheel. You gotta scroll around to move around it. Problem is when you tap, you have to push something, you click into the center, and that also kind of has like some controls. If you push in on one direction, it'll kind of move the infotainment up and around. Now, they could have done the exact same thing they've done with the rotary shifter for the gear selector and the terrain mode. They're popped up a little bit, giving you some grip. That would have been nice, so I would prefer that. Just kind of raise that up, give you about half an inch or whatever of ability to hold on to it to be able to turn it easier. So that's what I would like to see from the infotainment system. Aside from that, though, the infotainment is great. It's just that doesn't work that well. And my other small complaint, we talked about this when we were doing some of the other new Kias that we've driven. The auto stop start on this can be a problem. Normal conditions, you know, almost like I'd say 80-90% of the times you're going to be having the auto stop start system engage, it's fine. You come to a red light, you turn it off, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's those few times that you're not necessarily at a stop sign and you need to go. You come up to a four-way stop, it's your turn, now it's time to go. I find sometimes, like I said, maybe about 10% of the time, the engine will stop and it will not start very well. it takes a couple seconds. So you're sitting there, you're at a stop, you're right away, you're trying to go, all of a sudden the car's not starting up immediately, and the other person assumes that you're letting them go, and now you've got a bit of a problem. So I've noticed that. We talked about it a little bit when we were driving the 2021 Kia Sorento. I'm having similar issues with this. And to be fair, the Sorento also used a 2.5 liter turbo inline 4. This one has more power. So it's probably something with the engine or the controller for the actual stop-start system. So I would like to see that improved. Aside from that though, I mean, those are my only two complaints. A hybrid would have been nice. I'm going to be talking about that more as we move into the next era here of test drive. I think a lot of cars need to have a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. As of right now, there aren't any options for that. In South Korea, you can get a diesel for this, not sold here in North America. Be nice if there was some sort of electrification. And as I mentioned outside, I don't know how the design is going to translate to a fully electric vehicle, but it will eventually get there. So those are it. Pretty much there's nothing else to complain about, nothing else that's negative about this vehicle. Genesis has done a great job with this, and I would 100% buy this. I'm a little spoiled. I know I get to drive all the expensive, nice cars, so I usually would say, oh, you know, I really like this because I can go for the top end trim and it's great. But this isn't the top end trim, and I am still very, very impressed with it, which goes to show you just how far Genesis has come since their first cars that were branded as Hyundais. So it's huge improvement over the last couple of years in terms of what you get out of these cars. And I have to say that for their first SUV, and not just sharing the same platform that they're using on, say, the Hyundai Palisade, this is the same rear-wheel drive midsize platform they're using for the G80. I have to say it's great. I mean, they've shown us that they are really committed to this segment. The GV80 just was announced. That's their smaller compact SUV. And who knows, you know, the future is bright for Genesis. They might come out with a whole number of SUVs, but I have to say that this being the first one, seriously impressed with it. I am comfortable. I have space in here, great amount of headroom, great amount of legroom. I really do like the seats too. They're super comfortable. It really has done a great job. Just those small little things that I think could be improved, and who knows, you know, maybe in a couple of years they'll make some changes to it and we'll be even happier. But those are things that I wouldn't say don't buy it just because of these small problems. I mean, the infotainment, you get used to it, you'll figure it out. So very satisfied with it. Excellent job, Genesis. You guys are going to sell a whole bunch of these, no doubt. And it really should put the Germans on notice that the Koreans are serious about the luxury game, and they're coming full steam. If you have any questions about this episode, please let me know. You can leave a comment below. I always try to get back to everybody that I can. Please give a thumbs up if you like this video as well, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.